a most festive new episode of the Wheel of Convo. I am Corey.
And I am Joe.
And tonight we are bringing you the Christmas Spectacular. We'll discuss all things Christmas media. Our favorites, the ones we don't like, overrated, underrated, and questionable.
That's right. We're going to be naughty and nice tonight.
Yes, indeed. Joe, I can see the background that he has laid for me. His stockings are hung by the chimney with care.
Flame retardant stockings.
That's right. They must be. But to begin, we just both have a love of all things Christmas, and we obviously, you've learned from listening to the podcast how much we love TV and media and movies, and we figured it would be great to discuss all things Christmas media. So Joe, tell me and the audience, what is the thing that you need to see, the piece of media you need to see that makes it feel like Christmas for you every Christmas season?
Every Christmas season I look forward to watching, the combination of Frosty and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
All right, so those Rankin and Bass classics.
Yeah, and I would say the Charlie Brown Christmas too. That's high up there too.
It's too bad that got bought out by Apple TV, so less people can see it.
Yeah.
But so since you brought it up early, I'm going to get it out of the way. For me, it is those Rankin and Bass cartoons. For me, though, it's the Grinch as well. The half-an-hour Grinch cartoon from the season. That's all I need. That's the best piece of Christmas media there is. But I want to double back since you brought up Rudolph. Without a question, Santa and all the other reindeer and all the auxiliary characters in the Rankin and Bass Rudolph cartoon are the worst people in all of Christmas media. They are terrible. They are just gigantic bullies. This is my uncle's take. And my uncle always says every year when we watch it that if it ended with Rudolph and Hermie in Yukon returning to the camp with automatic weapons and getting rid of everybody, that he would give them a pass. That would be justified because they are just the worst.
Blood flows red on the North Pole.
Santa's sleigh, you know what I'm saying?
Oh.
I know that like a common trope of Christmas media is either like a bully or somebody that doesn't have Christmas spirit, whatever, being taught their lesson and then gaining some Christmas spirit. But all the other characters in Rudolph really are borderline unbearable.
I don't know if they did that on purpose or it was just to have the audience feel for Rudolph.
Certainly, but it's like, it is over the top. It's over the top.
Also,
doesn't every area, even Winter Wonderland, need a dentist? What's the problem with wanting to be a dentist?
But the Island of Misfit Toys, even the Bumble. I love the Bumble in that movie.
Oh, also good. Also, do you know how much I would have played with a cowboy who rides an ostrich?
That's my goal when I get my 3D printer. I'm gonna print a cowboy on an ostrich. I'm gonna get it for you.
There you go. That would be awesome. But yeah, I mean, I guess more so than any other piece of Christmas media, like bullying and anti-bullying is actually, it's a message throughout because the same thing applies for the Island of Misfit Toys. But, because they're unwanted, unloved, all that kind of stuff. But it just really is over the top in that particular one.
But I'll tell you, though, the story of Rudolph, have you ever heard the story of Rudolph?
No, I don't think I know where you're going with this one here.
Do you know why Rudolph was created?
Oh, see, that I don't know. Enlighten me and the audience.
Rudolph was created by the Montgomery Ward department store.
Okay.
And that's why Montgomery Wards always had Rudolph anytime they had their Christmas sales. They always had Rudolph front and center on their advertisement. And what it was their way that they could tap into the mainline Christmas. to the point where they had someone write a song about it, and it was just it was capitalism.
Oh boy, I
Pure
really didn't know that.
capitalism.
I mean,
Yeah,
I guess I'm not surprised. Everything is driven by capitalism, but that's fascinating.
but it was something else. When I used to work there, I always wondered, it was like, why is everyone pushing, like, we got Rudolph all over the place, we don't have any other characters? I was like, what's the deal with Rudolph? They're like, you didn't know Montgomery Ward's created Rudolph. I'm like, no, didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
So that's a fun fact that no one would probably tell anybody.
No, I'm taking that and I'm using it in conversation now. But that Rudolph is a Rankin and Bass. Rankin and Bass made all those animation ones from the 60s and 70s, the Rankin and Bass classic, but is not my favorite Rankin and Bass because I don't know anybody who doesn't love the Heat Miser and the Snow Miser. I mean, that's my favorite Rankin and Bass Christmas cartoon. Those songs just get stuck in your head for
Oh
days
yeah,
after you watch it.
yeah, and it's amazing too, because my wife's favorite Christmas show is that as well. Anytime it's on, she'll sit there and start singing it at the top of her lungs.
Dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Nah, dun dun dun. Okay.
It, I don't know. It gives a good feeling to the time. It's
That's it.
something entertaining.
And it feels. I guess it's nostalgic for a lot of people, but I think that's the key for Christmas media is watching those cartoons and the things that I've seen year over year. They make me think of when, for lack of a better term, when life was simpler and
Hmm?
all that, all those good memories come up when you watch those classic pieces of media. Like, it's weird because when it comes to regular media and movies, I'm not really someone who re-watches a lot of stuff. But come the holidays, I want that comfort of things that I've seen, that kind of thing.
Well, the one big thing is with the way technology is now, everything's at your fingertips. You could just go onto YouTube and pull up a video. Back in the day, you couldn't do that. That stuff didn't play until after Thanksgiving, and it was usually the week after Thanksgiving. And then you could always tell it was Christmas time because Frosty, and then you had Rudolph. You had what was it? The Year Without Santa Claus.
Yep, that's the one.
That one. Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Yep.
All of those shows, The Grinch, it would all fit into place, and it was great. It was a nice change of tone to everything, and that's why most of the times you would have sweeps like the week before. What was it? A week before Thanksgiving, and then everything would be on hiatus until probably at the week after New Year's.
It still happens with TV a lot now, but they don't air the Christmas specials at the same rate. But they could also just randomly air them.
Yeah.
I always joke with my uncle because I always say it's the only thing that makes him sound like an old man. Because every time that I'm watching Rudolph, he would say, "Remember when we watched Rudolph as a kid?" To my mother, you got one shot, and if you missed it, that was it.
Yeah.
He always says that. So if you missed it, so it was like appointment viewing too. So they set the time frame for the season, really. And now you've got things like Freeform doing the 25 Days of Christmas, where those specials are played and Christmas movies are played constantly throughout the month of December.
Sometimes in July too.
They tend to do a week in July, which that's fine with me. I don't mind it. Christmas in July. So now that it wasn't exactly a smooth segue, but favorite Christmas movie as opposed to cartoon or short show.
I would have to say Scrooged.
The Bill Murray one.
Yes.
Okay, that's an acceptable answer.
That's one of my all-time favorites. It still makes me laugh to this day, and it's just it's amazing what they were able to do with that and modernize the whole Scrooge story.
I'm a big fan of that, but I kind of have two answers that run the gamut of complete opposites. I actually like the George C. Scott A Christmas Carol. So very old school, very straight-laced. That's a great version, though. Without question, the best version of A Straight Christmas Carol, unless we're counting the Muppets, but that's a whole other matter. And Christmas Vacation.
Christmas Vacation is another one that was it's always on. Anytime. It doesn't matter if it's halfway through, I'll still turn it on.
Oh, Christmas Vacation is just the jelly of the month club. It's the gift that keeps on giving all year.
But that was a great movie.
Oh, it's so good. And that is, not only that, I think that's also the best vacation movie.
It is. I would have to say it is.
Yeah,
it finally gelled. And then after that, it just got really bad. Did you ever see the sequel to the Christmas Vacation?
No, I don't think that I have. Should I? No, I assume.
No, you shouldn't. It will definitely taint everything that you know about the Christmas Vacation. I've heard rumors about it and I read about it because it was supposed to be cousin Eddie and Catherine get stranded on a tropical island during Christmas.
All right, I already don't want to see it.
Yeah.
If that's the synopsis, then I don't want to see it.
That's the thing is, like, cousin Eddie was a good supporting character, but I don't think I could deal with a whole movie with him in it.
Comedies throughout tend to make that mistake sometimes. The supporting character with the few lines that are funny that everybody loves, they then try to spin around and make an entire series based on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at you, Joey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at you, exactly.
Yeah. That he was good in the as far as Friends, but don't give him a show of his own.
He was good. He played off the other characters well. That's what a side character does.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in this Christmas Vacation hypothetical.
But,
all right.
It started going downhill after Christmas Vacation. That's when they knew it was a license to print money. Vegas Vacation. Yeah, there were some fun parts in that, and Nick Papagiorgio from Yuma, Arizona. But it was just okay. Enough with it.
So I will do myself a favor and not watch the sequel. Okay, because I have a rant ready for this question.
All right.
So I will allow you to answer first. Do you have a Christmas movie or show that everybody loves that you either just straight up hate or don't like as much?
I'm trying to think about it. That's a difficult one. Because usually if it's something I don't like watching, I don't even put it on my radar, and if it's on, I just totally avoid it. That's when I go to the bathroom.
What about, is anything that, your wife makes sure to sit down and watch every year? You're half paying attention or not, or?
Nothing really. No, I've seen some pretty awful stuff, especially around this time of year. But I refuse to watch any of those Lifetime Christmas movies. Just absolutely refuse to.
Well, that, I think, is a Lifetime and Hallmark. That's a given.
Yeah, those I'm not. It's like those are the cookie cutter ones.
Yeah.
It's like if I want to learn something about it, I'll take Lori Laughlin's master class on how to get your kid into an Ivy League school. But too soon.
But those are just never too soon. Not around here. Those are just boilerplate. You shift the characters around a little bit. You shift the setting slightly. But it follows a very specific template. So here's mine. It's a Wonderful Life sucks. All right? The movie sucks. And most importantly, it's just not a Christmas movie. I guess I don't care if people like it or not. It's not a Christmas movie. It just isn't. Just 10% of it takes place at Christmas. Not even, it's probably less than that. like the climax to the very end of the movie takes place at Christmas. Primarily, it's a biography of Jimmy Stewart's character. Like, that's what the movie is. Doesn't have the seasons not involved, the music's not involved, the typical lessons learned in a Christmas movie aren't there. I don't understand the love for it.
I think it's that one thing at the end where the little girl's at the Christmas tree. And you hear that every time a bell rings, an angel gets their wings, that stuff. They've actually used that as iconography to label it as a Christmas movie.
So it's just that one scene.
Yeah, and I think it's the setting of it at the end where it happens at Christmas, because it's almost like a take on the Christmas Carol. When you sit there and you look at it and you dissect it.
See, but to me, like, Christmas media usually, I'm not saying it has to, but it tends to follow very similar themes.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas movies have similar themes. This doesn't really have that theme. It's not there. Not in the same way. Like, he's harassed by a cruel banker and faces financial ruin and prison, right? What's Christmassy about that? What's Christmassy about that? That's what I don't get. And also, just a fun fact for anybody listening, the movie was originally released to theaters in June of 1946. So perhaps Frank Capra thought the same thing.
That's true.
And that I think is important too. I think you can make a conclusive argument that the intention wasn't a Christmas movie. Whether you think it was or not, whether you think it's actually a Christmas movie or not, based on the themes and I think the release window, I think you can make an argument that's not the intention of it.
Yeah, because most of the movies that you have that actually do have like Christmas in the background, they're usually released in the fall or late fall.
And this is just, and I want to go a little further with the film's plot. I actually am taking this paragraph just so I can say it concisely from an article from Forbes. Corrupt bankers win. Struggling townspeople band together to pay out of their own pockets to make up for the graft and corruption. And the message is essentially, be grateful for your lot in life and don't complain about the unfairness or intolerability. It could be worse. Does that sound like a Christmas movie to you?
Because when was that released? Was that released in the 50s?
It's a Wonderful Life, 1946.
All right.
So, just that tail end of
Of World War II.
Yeah, tail end of the Second World War.
Because it was set during the Depression, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the thing too is the movie hammers that home, right? It's full of scenes of George doing good things and helping others while he and they face like a stream of misfortune, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then he doesn't really, like, that part could happen in a Christmas movie, but then things don't necessarily get better for him at the end. Those good deeds aren't rewarded. He essentially just decides not to kill himself, and we're supposed to revel in it. It's a very unique framing for what people consider to be the most iconic Christmas movie of them all.
It's almost like this song too. What was it? Baby, it's cold outside.
Yes. Now, on a lighter note, because this is where I I actually put my foot down on social media every year on It's a Wonderful Life. I literally rile people up every year by putting up the status that it's not a Christmas movie. But in conjunction with that, because believe it or not, all that ranting that I just did about it's thematically fitting, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Not only is Die Hard a Christmas movie, it is a fantastic Christmas movie. And the theme fits. It fits. It fits perfectly.
It has Christmas music in it.
It has Christmas music. It has decorations. It's set at Christmas. Also, in a very general sense, without me going any further, Bruce Willis's character is an ungrateful curmudgeon at the beginning of the movie, and he learns his lesson and appreciates his wife at the end of it. It's all there. It's there.
It's the Christmas formula.
A Christmas classic, if I ever heard of one.
And it must have been a Christmas miracle that he survived.
It's a Wonderful Life is attempted suicide, financial fraud, inequality, a man refusing to give a woman her clothes back after she accidentally loses them in public, child death, an adult beating a child as his ear bleeds. So all that stuff says Christmas, right? And Die Hard, on the other hand, scenes featuring imagery, props, and visual references to Christmas. There's a soundtrack full of Christmas songs, Christmas-related musical cues. There's a villain who is similar to the Grinch, and a hero who's a regular guy facing increasingly insurmountable odds at the hands of crooks, while facing a possible future in which his family have a different life without him. And he rediscovers the meaning of his family and the importance of being together for the holidays. Bam! Christmas classic. His wife's also named Holly.
Hey.
Her name's Holly.
Must be a Christmas movie. But then you have it too in the sequel. What were they doing?
Oh, the sequel. No, the sequel
is during Christmas.
It is. The first sequel is during Christmas. The first sequel is. But obviously the sequels don't, they obviously don't all fit that description of that discussion. But it's always funny to me how, because you wind up not just talking about the backdrop. Thematically, Die Hard is a better fit as a Christmas movie than It's a Wonderful Life is. The themes fit cleaner.
No, but the one thing is that you have to label It's a Wonderful Life a Christmas movie because that's the only time people would actually want to watch it, where Die Hard, everybody wants to watch it, doesn't matter what time of year it is.
That is true. And that's a whole nother matter of, do you think people sit through things they don't like because it's Christmas?
Or it has that Christmas connotation to it, yeah. It's only on during Christmas. We have to sit down and watch It's a Wonderful Life.
But what if it's terrible? Why does it matter that it's only on during Christmas?
It doesn't matter. It's a tradition.
I think we need, how TBS gives us 24/7 of It's a Christmas Story beginning on Christmas Eve?
Yeah.
Somebody's got to do Die Hard. Do the same thing, but play Die Hard for 24 hours.
That's what we need to do. We're gonna get our own cable network. We're gonna ride the airwaves and just do 24 hours of Die Hard. Now, would you do the sequel too?
And if it was the first time we did it, no. I think you just play the first one for 24/7. And then if you want to bring in the sequel, I guess we could later on. But yeah. The sequel doesn't fit. I had a long discussion there about the themes. Doesn't fit quite as well in the sequel. Christmas is just more of a backdrop in the sequel than anything else.
Yeah.
Also, who doesn't want to see Reginald Val Johnson / Carl Winslow on their Christmas? I mean, doesn't everybody?
Hey, he's my Santa.
That's right. That's right. There you go. Sorry to any of our viewers that enjoy It's a Wonderful Life. I've had that one in the holster for a long time and felt like it needed to come out.
Oh, man. I remember when I was a kid that everything had a Christmas episode. To the point where He-Man even had a Christmas episode.
Oh, see, I was a little too young for He-Man. My oldest brother loved He-Man. I didn't know that He-Man had a Christmas episode.
He-Man had a Christmas episode. I want to say that there was even an episode of G.I. Joe. There was one of Transformers. There was, God, you name it. Back in the 80s, that's all that they did. Everything was...
I always like I like some of these traditional sitcoms. I don't mind a Christmas-themed episode. The Simpsons had good Christmas episodes. A lot of even the sitcoms of the 90s did it. I'm not a big fan of Friends, but some of their better episodes were holiday themed. I always like that. You might as well do that.
But you sit there and you take it the opposite way where it's like, what was it? My mother, when I was growing up, was a big watch soap operas. Every single one of them on ABC. And you can always tell when it was close to the holidays. Because next thing you know, it would be, they'd have the Thanksgiving drama, which would probably last until the week after Thanksgiving. And then next thing you know, they went full on Christmas for the whole month. It was like Christmas Eve lasted 4 weeks. And then you had Christmas Day. And then fast forward to New Year's Day, where they did that.
See, I can think about it in even more ridiculous ways. Because we've talked wrestling on this podcast aplenty. So everything from the gobbledygooker at every Survivor Series to every Miracle on 34th Street fight that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because they'll just weirdly work in like the festive stuff. Like, yes, I want to see somebody get hit over the head with a giant candy cane. Like, I guess that's a thing. Like, they just force it all in. And like, that's the thing with some of these specials, like you were alluding to. It just becomes so forced. I'm looking at you, Star Wars Holiday Special.
That was the biggest moneymaker of all. Talk about drumming up support for your toys that holiday season. It came out in 1978, the week after, I believe, Thanksgiving. Like, Zach would know it, like, Zach Weber would know it, like, chapter and verse, because he's, like, totally into it. And he always sits there and talks about it, and how they didn't have Christmas on the holiday special. It was Wookiee Life Day.
Yes, that I know, yeah.
All to sell toys that weren't coming out yet.
That's ridiculous. I will say, however, if we're talking about, that kind of Christmas media, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm rather excited to sit down and watch the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special.
You will enjoy it. I saw that with my daughter the other day.
I am looking forward to it. An appearance by Kevin Bacon. I'm excited. I'm gonna sit down this weekend probably.
That was a good show.
That's good.
But it did the whole. It follows the same story type that you went over with Die Hard.
Right. See, because to me, Christmas movies, and people actually joke about that with like the Hallmark movies, like I referenced earlier, how they follow a template, and they do, but they follow a template that is generally set out by Christmas media. They all sort of follow a very similar, template. Okay. So another one that we haven't referenced yet, and this is a little bit of a questionable take from me. Big fan of Miracle on 34th Street. A big fan. Best version, however, Dylan McDermott, Richard Attenborough from the 90s.
I would have to say, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the best.
It was a modern take. It was a modern take of it, and I don't know if it was better because it did put a modern take on it.
I just think Richard Attenborough, who was mostly a British stage actor, was very good in the Santa slash Chris Chris Kringle role. I think that's what did it for me.
But no, that was a good casting in that too.
Yeah.
And it didn't really stray away from the source.
No, it's a modern take that didn't like butcher the source, for lack
No,
of a
he
better.
didn't have to.
No.
It was a story that they followed the story throughout, which was really nice.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much great Christmas media. I can't even fit it all in most years. There have even been some cartoons like Arthur Christmas in the last 10 or so years that went under the radar that were very good. Um, Nightmare Before Christmas. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not the biggest Tim Burton fan. That's his achievement. That's his magnum opus. That is the best he's ever been. It's perfect.
What was it? I saw something online that there was. They said that there's a very good correlation between the Grinch and and the and Jack in that movie because both have dogs, both were similar.
Yeah, I could see it. I could see it. And I never mind when I see whatever, movie based on Christmas they're gonna try to trot out year over year. I'll watch a modern take on something that I love, even if I don't wind up just keep churning out all the formulaic stuff. But
Hey,
every once in a while, give us a bad Santa.
Bad Santa.
Just do that.
I don't know. Have you gone out and seen the new one that came out? I think it's
There's
in
a,
theaters now.
I have not.
Violent
Have you?
Night. No,
Oh,
I haven't.
I saw the poster, but I
My,
mean that there were a couple movies like that in the 70s and 80s, and I
yeah.
don't mind that they're trying to go ahead and do that too. Black Christmas is actually a pretty good it's a pretty good sort of like When a Stranger Calls type horror movie.
Well, they had Krampus years ago.
Yeah, Krampus is genuinely like kind of a scary Christmas character. Go ahead, give Krampus another try because it didn't work a few years ago when they did it. Shout out to Tim Allen for just the original The Santa Claus because that's a great one.
They're coming out with a reboot, not a reboot, but
Of
another Disney Plus show of that.
a series on Disney Plus. Yeah,
Yeah, I think they're going to do that next year.
I'll give it a go for sure. My father was always a big fan of March of the Wooden Soldiers, which is very old fashioned. That's
Mm-hmm.
the other one. Now I've gotten to the point where I'm just listing them off, guys. That's how much I love Christmas media in general.
But the one thing I haven't had a chance to take a look at yet is A Christmas Story Christmas, where it revisits Ralphie when he's older. And they got the original actor, Peter Billingsley, to play Ralphie again.
I love that they got the original actor. I'm not the biggest fan of A Christmas Story. I don't loathe it the way that I loathe It's a Wonderful Life, but I'm just not a huge fan of it. I've seen it though. What about because my 5-year-old niece, this is her favorite. She's here the other night. Requested to watch the original Home Alone.
I could do without Home Alone. I think that's like,
I think it's dependent on when you grew up. Like for
yeah.
me, I have fond memories of it because, it was a big deal when I was a kid growing up. And it was about a kid like my age thwarting those routes. So I have fond memories of it. But I can understand people not. However, non-Christmas tangent. Don't forget that Kevin McAllister may be Jigsaw from the Saw film. And,
I heard that theory.
certainly, it tracks better than you want it to. Also, and I have another uncle who I think I've referenced it a few times on this podcast. He always has crazy ideas. for TV, movies, film. He actually said that he had a sequel in mind to Home Alone, but I actually think that the idea was good and somebody should do it. Like, his idea was basically that an older, destitute, poor Kevin had enough of his parents forgetting him and treating him like crap and went back to the Wet Bandits for one last big score and robbed his own family. Like, that's actually not bad.
No, it's not.
It's not bad because they forget him twice as a child. Like, his resentment towards the parents would be accurate.
Oh, man.
If you want, and I'm not even saying he has to succeed. I guess I made it sound like that. But you could set up, like, whatever, a nephew or a niece as, like, the new hero, right? The new him. But he should be a villain in the sequel. And I'm like, yeah, that's actually pretty good. Somebody should do it. Somebody should do it. And Joe's sitting here thinking, like, yeah, I think that's not that bad.
No, that isn't.
Shout out to my Uncle Alex for the idea. I'm going to give him credit right over the airwaves here.
You get a screenwriter credit.
Screenwriter credit. But it's a genuinely good idea. If any movie executives are listening, and you can get Macaulay Culkin on board, just cut my uncle in, but he'll be happy to just see it be made at this point.
But this time of year, it's just a very, I feel very happy around this time of year. Like earlier today, I went and I decorated my house. I got my garland up all around my doorways, got my tree up, everything like that. And it's starting to feel like Christmas.
To me, it just feels better when, my tree is lit instead of the lamp in the living room. Like, it's more fun. It's more festive. It's comforting. I love it.
And there isn't a feeling in the world like it when you're laying down on the ground and you go underneath the tree and you just look up. And anyone who's listening, I totally suggest that you do that. Just get down on the ground, on the floor, put your head underneath the tree, and just look up. And you want to know something, just stay there for a while. And it's something about it. It's just very relaxing. It's very soothing.
Take it in for a few minutes.
Take it in for a few minutes. Enjoy it. And, it's a wild time.
And I love Christmas. Like, I grew up in a family with 5 brothers, and we were lucky enough to have parents who went out of their way to just, spoil us at Christmas. So I have so many fond memories of Christmas, and just that it all comes rushing back year after year, and you have people that aren't here anymore, for all of us, but my family, for me in particular, and it makes me think of them and those times. For some people, that's hard to deal with, and I get that, but it always makes me smile when I think of how things used to be.
Yeah, that was the one time a year where my 2 brothers and 2 sisters and I, all went around the table, didn't have a problem dressing up to have Christmas dinner that night.
Yeah.
And
you had to put on your Sunday best?
Yeah, we would sit there and put on, we would get dressed up. We would sit around the table. We would sit there, and after dinner was done, we'd sit there and play rummy with my grandparents, and it was fun. It was simple. It was nice. It was laid back. There was no animosity towards anybody. There was no nothing. It was just being around and family and just, it was very, it felt nice.
Nothing else matters in those moments. Time stops for a little while.
No. And I'll be honest, it was growing up. That was probably one of my fondest memories was sitting there and doing that. And it's almost like I want to have that moment for my kids. It's I had such a good experience with that stuff. I want that to be their experience too.
Right, and that's where we are as family too. Like, it's funny how much what you said mirrored mine, but just with a little flip on it. Like,
Yeah.
that was Christmas was a holiday, right, where we not only did we not dress up, we didn't get out of our pajamas the whole day. You were allowed
Yeah.
to wake up in your pajamas,
Hmm.
and even through Christmas dinner, you were just in your pajamas all day long. And then after Christmas dinner, but before dessert, we would play poker for a change with my grandmother, and I remember that. And now, my mother is older, my father is no longer with us. We don't host Christmas the way that we used to, but my brother, who has, that's my 5-year-old niece, and I have another niece who's 2 years old. He's taken over the hosting duties, and I can see that that's exactly what he's doing. He's trying to create a Christmas tradition for his kids, like we had when we were growing up. He wants to give his kids what he remembers, what I remember. And it's great, because that's what Christmas has become about to me. It's become about the little ones in our family now. That's what it's about.
And I'll be honest, it was, when it was little, it was great. But when I got older and my siblings got older too, it got even better because then it was, we would all come together into the house, and every year when we weren't all attached, we all didn't have a family, we would just all come together. It didn't matter if we were living someplace else, we would get there at the house by 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. We'd help my mom put the turkey in the oven. If there was snow on the ground, we'd go out and shovel the driveway for my father. And, then we would go in and have breakfast, and then we would open presents. And it was just a fun time. But there was no fighting, there was no arguing, there was no nothing. It was just, we were all together. And it felt like our childhood again. And it was so nice. It was something that we could recapture that moment. And, it's something.
I think that's what it is, because you immediately call back to your childhood, your younger days, and it's like you said, it just feels nice. That's, and it's like, for us growing up, we had, I lived in a 2-family house. My grandmother, my mother's mother, her 2 brothers, my uncles, lived in the second house. So every Christmas Day, it was all of us in that same house. My 5 brothers, myself, my mom and dad, and the 3 of them. So we never left the house. But every Christmas Eve, we would host my father's family. So my uncles, aunt, that kind of stuff. So, like, even now, as that Christmas Eve gathering it's gotten simpler, it's dwindled a little bit, but even that, like, I remember last year, and I anticipate this year, like, my oldest brother, who, is kind of life. That's the other thing too, is life takes you separate directions. I see my oldest brother maybe once a month, tops. Every Christmas Eve, he'll pop in around 6 o'clock. He's the first one there. He'll bring some appetizers, some beer or whatever, and he'll just sit down on the couch. And we don't even have to say much. He'll sit down on the couch. Some Christmas movie will be on. You look around, the tree's on, the decorations are up. You're like, yep, this feels good right now. In this moment. Feels good. It's that kind of thing. So that's all that is. Christmas is simple. Christmas isn't about the stuff.
No.
It's about the memories. And regrettably, so many people have made it about the stuff. Even my mother's like, what do you guys want for Christmas? And it's like, well, I'm almost 40. I don't need stuff. I need, like,
Yeah.
maybe socks. Can you give me some socks?
Who would have thought, Corey, that when you got older, that you would sit there and treat the underwear and socks that you got for Christmas now so badly when you were younger. Now, I'm like, I got underwear, I got socks. I'm like, I can sit there and I can rule the world. I'm like, yes, I don't have to worry about it. I can switch out my underwear. It's got holes in it. No, I'm good. But it's like it's a whole shift.
See? It's all about the simple stuff. I hope our viewers don't mind that we waxed poetic about Christmases past.
Oh, don't. But that's what it's all about. And as long as someone can find happiness around this time of year, hooray for you. There's not that much happiness going around right now. There has to be a little cheer. It has to be a little, niceties. And, most of the time this is the time of year that you'll find it. And hopefully, it depends if you work in retail or not. I don't know how many Christmases I've ruined. I've already ruined like 25 Thanksgivings. So I'm going to let me see how many Christmases I could ruin now.
And we both come from a retail setting. So I think I try not to let that jade me because I see all the things I don't like about Christmas working in the retail setting. All that hustle. All that need. And I'm like, and that's just been it's been so ingrained into people. And that's not what Christmas should be about.
No.
Let the template of a Christmas movie we discussed earlier tell you what Christmas should be about, basically.
Yeah, that's it. So heed the template. That's the message behind this special.
Heed the template, and God bless us, everyone.
Yes.
And do not eat any triple-decker sauerkraut and toadstool sandwiches.
No.
With arsenic sauce. I wasn't going to sing the whole thing. I didn't want to deafen our viewers. But
oh, boy. But no, this is a great time of year. Take it, embrace it, look around, be nice to people.
From the two of us here at the Wheel of Convo to the people who have spent the last few months listening to our wacky ramblings, seriously, we wish you nothing but the merriest of Christmases and the best holidays, guys.
Yeah, it can't be said enough. It's always a great pleasure to sit here and talk with Corey, and I enjoy it, and I'm thankful for it. But everyone, have a very happy, Merry Christmas. Hopefully, you get everything you want and more. But be nice to each other. That's the one thing I would want to sit there and think about someone else besides yourself.
That's
as
Christmas is really about.
As Bill Murray said, you want it. You want it so bad. You want it every day of the year. So make it happen. Do it every day of the year.
That's right. This feeling that's comes with the Christmas season doesn't have to stop when it ends, but we tend to let it.
I know, and it's all about perception. Perception is reality. So if you perceive it that way, then it'll happen that way. Yeah. But all right, well, thank you for listening to our Christmas Spectacular.
Yes, we hope you enjoyed it.
And my name is Joe.
And my name is Corey.
And have a ho 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 ho.
Ho ho ho.
Ho 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 ho. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
It's that time. Christmas time.